So my mother did believe in God. She believed in the Holy Spirit, and she had took us to church. And so we believed in God. My siblings, there's four of us. I have two of them who don't believe in God, who
Hmm.
just believe in life.
Yeah.
Um, and I pray for them daily because we all went to church together, and I'm grateful for that time that we did, and my mom did that because she struggled with things that I can't imagine. Uh, and she was very abusive, just as well as my stepfather. But I see them both from a different light, and my grandmother she also believed in God. My grandmother was a Sunday school teacher,
Okay.
but she was also an alcoholic,
What do you
really
think that
bad.
is really quick? Because my mom loves Jesus so much. She breathes the Bible. Like she knows the Bible is so true, but she struggles with addiction and she always falls back into it. So I'm like, I don't know if it's like a struggle with obedience. If it's just like the pain of this world is so bad that they just continue to fall back into numbing with substances. Like, what do you think that is to where somebody can know the hope and love of Jesus, but still be stuck in addiction?
Yeah, so I think that's different for everybody because there's a lot of mental and traumas that are connected to that. And I'm not a therapist. But
Yeah.
what I've learned in working in a Christ based drug rehabilitation center with my husband, who was an addict, and we worked with men who struggled with addiction.
Mhm.
Um, you, these, your mom, my mom, they want to do good. Think about it. Nobody wants to do bad.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be an evil villain like you see on Disney movies. Nobody wants to do that. Now, is there evil in this world? Yeah, it's disgusting. There's darkness in this world that, there's certain people that I struggle there. I'm like, you don't deserve to live for what you've done, right?
Mhm.
But overall, and when it comes to addiction, I believe that they fall back into it for numerous reasons. And one is that they haven't really dealt with the issues that are causing them to go back into that, right? So
Mm.
they know the solution is Jesus and they know surface solutions. And they know surface problems, but they haven't really dealt with the root
Mhm.
problem. And until they actually deal with the root pain of what is triggering them to want to do that, to want to continue to feed into that fleshly desire, to, you know, feed into that sickness, they're going to constantly relapse because they're not fully giving in to healing in whatever form that is.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but that doesn't mean that their heart's not redeemed. Like, I remember begging God. I was just like, why does she keep doing this? And I remember the Lord's like, she's mine and I love her. She's my daughter
Wow.
and I'm going to meet her at the gate, but she's going to struggle in this world because she's gone.
That's
Like,
so
she's
beautiful.
gone. Yeah. Her mind is gone from drugs. She's in her 50s, and statistically women that are in their 50s don't change. We actually don't change after the age of 7. It's true. We really don't. Our personality is literally formed at a prime age. And then after that, like, we adapt, we grow, but we don't really change. That
Yeah.
is our personality. And my mother's father committed suicide and she found him, right? My grandmother was an alcoholic. And so my mother's prime personality, her disorders were long ago.
Yeah.
And so, and also there's outwardly things like my mother didn't, we don't talk about mental illness. They
Mhm.
didn't talk about it like we do now, right? You
Right.
didn't talk about bipolar disorder. You didn't talk about anxiety. You didn't talk about ADHD. We didn't just give them medication. Think about it.
Yeah.
And in their time, I don't know how your mom is, but in my time, my mother was, like, that was when they just gave drugs away for free.
Yeah, that's true.
They created addiction.
Yeah.
And so that is feeding the pain. And so there's a lot of conflict there. So my mother, I know in my heart, will never ever be sober minded in this world. She never will be. She will never be right. She will never be able to function in society. But
Yeah.
I know that Jesus is going to meet that little girl
Mhm.
at the gate and hold her and be like, I'm here.
That's
I'm
so
here.
good. That brings me so much, like, peace because both of my parents still struggle with addiction. Um, and I pray
I'm
for
so
them all
sorry.
the time. Yeah, yeah, it's okay. I feel like I kind of adapted to the parent figure for them, where like I'm
Oh,
that, I'm that role for them, and it takes some pressure off because my mom, she's had crazy God dreams of like where he's redeemed her. Like, I know he's fighting for her. I know he loves her. My dad, he doesn't really think about God. So like that's a different situation with him. Um, but regardless, like it brings me peace to know that somebody can continue to disobey but still be God's and still be redeemed. And um
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and the fact that your mom has so my mother's been brought to life. We've seen her purple and blue. Like, that woman, God has given her so many chances. We've seen our mother dead. We've seen her be resuscitated, from drugs, and I still see her she's not living, she's surviving. My mother can speak in tongues. My mother can tell you the Bible from the front to the back. I have 4 kids, and 2 are actually not my husband's. Their father is an addict, and he taught me the Bible before he up and abandoned his children. We had Bible study every day when I became a Christian. And so I've learned something in that. I've learned that there is genuinely a battle between our flesh and our spirit. Um, and our flesh is triggered by certain traumas and responses, and that is where the church has failed in regard of not talking about mental illness and
Mhm.
addiction and surface level healing.